Amtrak's Horizon fleet single-level passenger cars were built between 1988 and 1990 by Bombardier Transportation. Initially referred to as the Amfleet 3, the Horizons were based off of the Comet commuter coach design, still used by a number of railroads in the northeastern U.S. These cars were constructed with an aluminum body and steel frame. Over 100 cars in both coach and cafe versions were purchased by Amtrak and then spent the next 30 years in service on intercity passenger trains, primarily in the Midwest and along the West Coast. In their later years, most of the Horizons were used on Amtrak Cascades in the Pacific Northwest, the Chicago to St. Paul Borealis, and the Chicago to Milwaukee Hiawatha. Some cars were also being used to expand Amtrak Downeaster train sets between Boston and Maine. On March 26, 2025, Amtrak withdrew all 70 Horizon cars that were in service at the time. The railroad cited safety concerns with the structural integrity of the cars, due to excessive aluminum corrosion that was found after close inspection of several Horizons. Little did I know it at the time, but I managed to capture the last run of the Horizons on southbound Amtrak Train 519 through Bellingham, Washington on an overcast March 25th evening. This was the last southbound Horizon train to operate north of Seattle. Overnight, several intercity train services across the country were canceled. This included the Borealis as well as some of the Hiawatha trains. However, the heaviest hit of all was Amtrak Cascades, which was using as many as 30 Horizons at a time to cover nearly all trains running on the intercity rail corridor between Eugene, Oregon and Vancouver, British Columbia. All but one train in each direction faced immediate cancellations. A Series 8 Talgo set continued to cover trains 503 and 508 from Seattle to Eugene and return daily. Amtrak acted quickly to find suitable replacement equipment. Within a couple days, the Borealis was back up and running with 2 sets of Superliner bi-level cars. Likewise, the Horizon set removed from Hiawatha service was also quickly replaced with a set of Superliners. These cars came from the seasonal Colorado ski train, which had concluded operations for the year just days prior. Concurrent with work to find replacement cars for the 2 Midwest trains, Amtrak sourced single-level Amfleet 1 type passenger cars from several of its East Coast trains. Amfleet 1s were the first passenger cars Amtrak purchased new, dating back to the late 1970s. They were manufactured by the Budd Company of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and feature a tube-like corrugated stainless steel body. Less than a day after the Horizons were removed from service, Amtrak began prepping Amfleet cars for shipment to the Pacific Northwest. The cars made their way to Chicago, where they were placed onto the head end of the Empire Builder long-distance train for delivery to Seattle. Just 1 week after service cancellations for most Cascades trains, the first Amfleet train set entered service on April 1st on trains 516 and 519, seen here approaching Bellingham's Fairhaven station. Over the next few days, more Cascades trains returned, with full service restored by the end of the following weekend. The short 3-car Amfleet sets were reminiscent of the early days of Amtrak Pacific Northwest intercity trains, when F40s pulled similar length trains along the corridor. There are hopes that the second Series 8 Talgo train will be returned to service in the coming weeks, which may help expand some of the Amfleet sets. Let's travel once again to the Pacific Northwest to see several of the Amfleet replacement train sets in action. We'll visit several different places along the Cascades corridor, including locations both north and south of Seattle. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for this look at the Horizon car replacement train sets in Amtrak Cascades service. As always, a special thanks to all my supporters on Patreon. Do you want to see a brand new railroad video every week? Click on the subscribe button and select the Receive All Notifications option to be alerted whenever I post to YouTube. Also, be sure to check out my other social media pages for even more great train and railroad themed content. I'll be back next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time for a brand new railroad-themed adventure right here on the YouTube channel. That's it for now. Until next time, I'm Mike Armstrong. I'll see you down the line. Thanks for watching.